Hey guys, this is Tonya and Johnine with Real Estate Gals to give you a market update on what's happening with all these changes day by day. Go ahead, Johnine,
Hi,
and share what your feelings are around what's happening today in the market.
hi everyone. I am being a good girl, staying at home with my little dog Charlie. Hi. Getting some cabin fever like everybody else. So there isn't much happening in our real estate world right at the moment. We were working feverishly to get people into contract up till last Wednesday, believing that we were not going to be doing any more real estate sales because we were all staying at home and we were non-essential. Then Saturday, Jay Inslee decided that some real estate service sales could be essential and allowed us to go back to doing listings and sales if we wanted to. So we're allowed to show houses, but we can only do it one person at a time, two people max, us and our one client at a time. The other, even a married couple, one would have to stay in the car, or partners would have to stay in the car while one was in the house. If there's inspections that have to be done, only the inspector and one of us can be in it. The buyer is not allowed to be there. Appraisals were not happening. They were going to be just drive-by, and now they're letting appraisers back in the houses. For me personally, I wish it would have stayed the way it was before, because I think it sends mixed messages, and there are those people in any industry that are liable to do more than they're supposed to do. So I think it was safer for everybody doing it, just locking it down. But now we're all trying to do the best we can. Myself personally, I'd rather just be able to stay home. I'm a little higher risk and I have asthma, and I don't want to be dropped off at a hospital and have by somebody and not see anybody again. So I want to be one of those people. I am here and I love my clients, every one of you. And if you need anything, I would love to be able to help.
So, so what would you say to a client that was like thinking about listing this spring? What advice would you give them?
Well, I actually have a client right now that wants to go on market. They bought a house a couple of weeks ago and have feverishly been getting their house ready for market. They're about to carry, once it closes, they're going to be carrying two mortgage payments, what they're really, really nervous about. There are listings going on the market right now, and miraculously they're selling. I think as a buyer, there's some great opportunities out there, because the prices I'm seeing are what I would consider to be a little bit below market. And I mean, just a week before the stay-at-home order, we were doing multiple offers. We were doing everything. I was writing was 6 offers, 10 offers, 5 offers. So everything was going, 30,000, 50,000 more above asking. So as soon as Wednesday rolled around and you could actually buy something with no competition, to me, that's as if prices softened. And I think it created a great opportunity. And now they've even softened a little bit below that. And I mean, I think it's an awesome time to buy something. And I had a client yesterday lock in on a 30-year fixed loan at 3% with no points. I mean, these kind of opportunities I don't see them very often. And I've been doing this over 30 years. It has some similarities to '08 for sure. The lending is starting to clamp down now. We had some other clients that were going to do a 15% jumbo, 15% down jumbo loan. And within 48 hours, they had shut down 15% and are only doing 20% down jumbo loans. So we are seeing the financing tighten, which it happened in '08. As soon as the lenders are taking on more risk, you can expect tightening to happen.
Awesome.
And buyers, if you have a job and you know you're not going to lose your job, then, and you want to buy a house, this is a great time to consider doing it.
Great. And then do you have any feedback for those that are needing to stay in their home, but maybe like worried about payment or
well, I think one of the things you should do is have knowledge, right? Because, there is a possibility of equity loans to help you through. And there's great rates on equity loans right now. So if you have a job and you're not at risk of, you're not one of those people that has been laid off, I would put in an equity line if you can. And to do that, sometimes you need to know what kind of equity you have in your house. And that's where we come in. If you give us a call, we can do a CMA for you, no problem. We are so happy to help any way we can, or just answer questions for you. That's why we're here. I've always said that we're about relationships, and I get so excited every time I hear from somebody I haven't heard from in years. So never feel like I won't, people call me and they go, I don't know if you remember me. I think I remember everyone. So if you call, you're always going to get open arms, and we're always going to be happy to help.
Yes, I love that. So just to clarify, in case somebody doesn't know, a CMA stands for competitive market analysis.
Yeah. Basically what we're going to do is, we're happy to put together what other houses have sold for you in your neighborhood and stuff. But ultimately what we're going to do is tell you exactly what your house is worth. And by knowing that, if you call the bank and the bank says, well, you need 80% loan to value in order to get an equity line. Banks, credit unions have different guidelines. It helps to know what your value is, so you know how much equity. So when they tell you, well, we're only going to give you 50,000, you have a point of argument with them to try to get that amount up, and to advocate for yourself, because that's ultimately what you have to do anytime you have to go into a battle with financial people, is have knowledge, because then you can advocate for yourself.
Yes, I love that. So I have one more last question for you. For those that are watching and sitting at home with all this time on their hand and thinking about maybe selling in 6 months or a year, can they be doing now to get themselves ready? Or is there any things you would suggest that they consider doing while they have this time on their hands?
I would just make lists. There's a couple of things I think people should do. One is, I think you should, right now you can't get estimates on things. There's too many people viewed non-essential. You're not going to be able to do any of that. But you could start thinking about what things you can do, and what things you can do more economically than maybe you've done it before. That's what I'm doing. What I'm doing right now is trying to tighten, not spend money as much as I was spending money before. If there's things, it's a good idea to put out a timing calendar and say, okay, the roof's going to need to be done in 5 years. Condominium buildings, what they're required to do now is do these things that are called, God darn it, naturally, I'm not going to remember what the name of it is. They're reserve studies is what they're called. So I got to tell you, I think it's a really good idea to consider having an inspection done on your home, so that a reserve study, what that is with a condominium building, is a engineering firm goes through the building, they list everything that needs to be done, and they budget for it over 5 years, 10 years. And then they figure out where the finances are now and how much the dues need to be to put enough of reserves away to fund all the work. So I don't understand. For me, a house is the same thing as a building. The difference is you're the only person. And I think the idea of possibly having an inspection done and then really knowing what you're working with and do what you can afford and try to budget for those things that are coming, because you don't want to change a roof when the roof's leaking. You want to change the roof while you have an opportunity to do 3 bids on it and get it done affordably. So that's what I advise doing. I get an inspection done on my own houses mainly after the fact, because I don't generally have to do one ahead of buying, but I get one done anyway because I want to know what's wrong with my house and I want to get to working on it. And I try to do as many of my projects myself as I can. And what I can't do, or what I do and I screw up, I just bring in professionals to get it done for me. But the luxury of getting bids way in advance and being able to really get the bid down is what's going to save you money in the long run. And the only way you're going to do that is with planning.
Yes, I love that. And if anybody needs any resources for inspectors, we have some great,
Yes,
great
absolutely,
people.
we do. We have great inspectors. We've all been with them when they've done inspections. We don't refer anybody unless we know what kind of a job they do.
And what can people expect to pay for an inspection roughly?
Well, the minimum is 500 these days, and I was shocked to see some are charge as much as 700. That's a lot for an inspection, but 5 to 6 is certainly within possibility. And everyone should get sewer scopes done. If you're buying a house between the age of 1900 and say 1960, you should really have a sewer scope done. Even with new homes, sometimes you buy a brand new home, especially spec builders on new homes, sometimes they use, very frequently, they use existing sewer systems. Well, that doesn't mean they replaced it. You could buy a brand new house in Ballard and find that the sewer system is hooked up to a bad line. So you should always do sewer scopes. And that's $275 in addition to the inspection. And I think those are really worthwhile to have done too, because if you think you're going to sell in a few years, whoever buys it is going to do a sewer scope. And those can be pricey items and you need to budget for them. So again, I do that. Know what you have. Knowledge is power. I don't know how many times I say that, but I say it all the time.
It's true. It takes away a lot of the fear because you know more of the facts or the statistics or the numbers. So it's really great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to share before we end?
No, I'll just say what I'm doing. I'm amusing myself at home with some art projects. I love to sing. So a close friend of mine who makes music, plays piano, plays guitar. Her and I are going to do some, I'm going to sing and she's going to play music, and we're going to try to do that on Zoom.
Yeah.
And, so I'm doing that kind of stuff. I'm doing projects that I needed to do that I just don't ever get around to do, like paperwork and budgets and ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm doing okay so far, but I have to tell you, I think this is going to get old. Being here being on your own gets old after a while.
Yes, that's why Zoom is such a great thing. Then it doesn't feel like you're all alone. You get to be with your friends.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Okay, well, that's all I have, I think.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we are signing off.
Bye.